what you know so far, what we've shared, is there any reason why you would not be able to make money finding properties with probate and pre-foreclosures? No? Yeah.
No people skills.
Okay, no people skills?
A competition in this room now.
Yeah.
Okay, competition in your room. Let's see here. No competition, you're in Nevada. Sacramento. Sacramento is a huge county. You two are Butte. You guys are Fresno, Tulare County. No real competition. This guy's nipping at my heels.
Everywhere, man.
There's really no competition. There's more than enough deals to go around, honestly. There really is. And what's going to happen too is you said, people skills. You'll find that not so much people skills, it's personality types win out. Eric might be able to be, more acceptable personality type to a person than I would, and vice versa. I mean, these guys got the husband and wife duo over here, so they're able to play off each other, and that's a really good opportunity. But really, it just comes down to likability factor. Sometimes you're liked more than others. It's okay, not a big deal. Move on to the next property.
It's sort of like an abundance mindset too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like.
There are more than.
I totally.
So if this is
that's
all,
the thing for me.
yeah. If this is all that you guys had, you guys can make money. Right. So I don't live in Marysville. So quick story. So the train's going down right here, right? One of the ways that I'm going to show you on how to get deals, I got a call from a guy on a property, and I went and I walked the property. It's a 14-unit apartment complex, 3 blocks over and 1 block down. The tracks are these like adobe type of like little structures that you can like walk through. There's probably like 6 or 7 of them you can walk through. Like your car barely fits through one of them. It's right over here. Like I'm afraid that one of these days that these tracks are just going to come tumbling down, and the house or this apartment complex is like right there next to it. So it's really bad. So anyway, I was over there walking that property, and the train came by. I'm like, oh, the train's here. I'm like excited like a little kid. I couldn't even hear it inside the complex. It's amazing the insulation inside this thing. Totally. I was like, wow. So I go outside, and I'm like, oh, man, it's already gone. Because you could hear like the horn blowing. Like you could hear that. But just it going by, couldn't even hear the train inside the house. No, that's what I was hoping to as well. Couldn't feel it either, so it wasn't like shaking the ground. But I was afraid that those like things holding up that.
They go through in the middle of the night.
Possibly. Well, the train here, you'll be surprised, guys. We'll, oh, is that? I think that was, what are they called? The yellow ones? Santa Fe, yeah. Santa Fe, yeah. Because my son does Wing Chun over just around the block there. So every night at 6 o'clock, I'll tell him to take him. It depends. Either I'm coming or going. I'll have to stop because of the train tracks. Which, by the way, just a side note, if you're walking properties, you're out by yourself, protect yourself. I was going to get my CCW, decided I'm not going to do that because one day I leave and I don't carry my gun, I'm going to like get killed. Because I've actually walked into properties and people are in the house. So I take a little bit of Wing Chun martial art, so I take some little kung fu. You probably carrying right now? Just kidding. Never ask. So, but anyway, just protect yourself, guys. Yeah, just be smart. So, all right. Speaking of being smart, run down pieces of crap. What a great, tie-in into this. So, how do you find rundown pieces of crap? So, best practices are, this is driving for dollars. Let me back up here and share with you a story about how I find rundown pieces of crap. It's a technical term, by the way. You might want to write that down. So I'm going to share with you here how you can do it yourself. But if you want to employ somebody else out, who do you think might know where rundown pieces of crap are?
Your local tweaker.
Local tweaker, homeless people. That's exactly right. So about 2 months ago, I went to a place to go have lunch. And this guy was standing outside, and he asked me the question. He goes, and I recognized him because he's a homeless guy. And I bought him lunch before at Taco Bell. He must like Mexican food because that's where I was at again. And he asked me, he's like, hey, is the food good here? I'm like, yeah, it's great. You should really try it. So I go inside, and I'm like thinking, wait wait, I know this guy. This guy, this guy's homeless. And so I go back out. I'm like, dude, you should really come inside. It's really good food. I'll buy it for you. He's like, no, I'm waiting for my wife. I'm like, great. When your wife gets here, come on in. Lunch is on me. So I get my food. I go sit down. Guess who comes in? The dude with his wife. So he comes in, and I said, you guys can order whatever you want. It's on me. And you're more than welcome to come sit with me at my table. I'd love to have lunch with you guys. If not, you can sit by yourself and just enjoy a nice warm meal. It was actually kind of cold. I think a little bit like drizzly. Not rainy, but drizzly. So it's like, no, we'd like to sit with you. So we sit down, we're having lunch, and I'm waiting for the opportunity. I don't want to have it seem like I'm pushing myself onto them. But we're just talking like he came from Michigan. He used to be a contractor, lost his job, but he loves the freedom now because he can live wherever he wants. The freedom. And so he goes, well, what do you do? I said, well, I actually buy properties that are kind of run down, maybe boarded up, maybe someone's like squatting in these properties, just really bad properties that no one else would want. You guys wouldn't happen to know any properties like that, right? I mean, that's not what you guys do. He's like, oh, do we? We know all kinds of these properties. We know all the guys that live in them. We stay at the shelter. We're not like those guys, but we stay in the shelter, and we know those guys because they know all these properties. And I'm like, oh, wow, I'd be willing to pay you for those kind of properties. If you could find some for me, I'd be willing to pay you. If I closed on it, like $500 or something like that. Oh, really? Yeah, I'd pay you for sure. So this was on a Friday. Saturday, I'm blown up with texts. Address. I must have got like at least 50, 60 texts from this guy. Then I got a bunch of voicemails from him about these properties. I have them all saved. I have these properties. I actually gave them to Eric. I'm like, Eric, I got so many here. I can't chase these down and take them from me, man. And so now I train the guy to snap me a picture of the property so I know what it looks like, and I have an address with it. And I'll show you the reason why I did that strategy later on. But yeah, homeless guys, they know where all these properties are at. And so $20, him and his wife lunch. I got 40 properties, 50 properties. How many did I end up giving you? It's probably exaggeration. It's probably like 20, huh? Yeah. I was like, 100 guys? No.
I think you said that wasn't all of them.
It wasn't all of them. No, I gave you the ones that I hadn't already attacked. I think it was about 35 properties. I mean, it's not bad. It's a great little thing. I haven't closed on any of those yet. I say yet because, again, this is a long game. These ones don't have timelines. And this is what happened. I used to start driving for dollars. When I got started in this business, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go drive for dollars. Drive. And I drove the same routes. And the reason why you want to drive the same routes is because you want to make sure that your eye is becoming attuned to the neighborhood. You're going to start to pick up on things like, oh, that's out of place. Something's going on with this house. You become familiar with it. And but here's the problem when you're driving for dollars. You might see a rundown piece of crap property. It's all boarded up. And you're like, that's a deal right there. You send them a postcard. They might call you. Like, it's been sitting there for 10 years. What's 10 more? There's no motivation. I haven't been able to hit on that pain point with that guy yet. Whereas like a pre-foreclosure, you're like, hey man, 10 years or not, it's going to go to the bank tomorrow. You got to take some kind of action. So that's why, priority-wise, probates, pre-foreclosures, they're up on the list because there's a deadline. But still, I've made a lot of money from these these properties as well. So keep a pen and paper with you. Track your miles. Keep track of your property types. So not all properties are equal. So what I used to do is I just used to just drive around, have my little notepad here, all these addresses. I'm even up in Chico, as you can see. A's for abandoned, B's for beaters. So these are my A and B properties. And I would snap this picture and I'd send it to my VA. And she'd put it up there. She'd skip trace the owner's address. She'd get the mailing address from me. And then if it's listed or if it's sold recently, then of course that happens. Sometimes you're like, oh man, a day late and $1 short. But I get rid of all that. So keep track of my A's and B's. And then, so abandoned properties, these A's, they're hard to find, these owners. I mean, they don't want to be found. They're usually hiding, and they're not truthful with you either. Because code enforcement's looking after them, taxes are delinquent, there's a bunch of problems that are happening with these properties. Now, we talked about timelines. If taxes are in default in California, how many years of default taxes do you have before they get sold at a tax auction?
A couple of years, isn't it?
5 years.
5 years?
5 years. On the 5th year, bam, it's gone. I'm not sure about Nevada. Something to look into though. So, beater houses, these are houses that are ugly, but they may not be abandoned. Someone might be living in these houses. The owner, they usually can't afford to take care of them. Maybe their health has precluded them from doing that. They can't sell either because they have nowhere to go. They can't afford to move. These guys, gosh, I got a guy right now, he's a hoarder. He's so bad. So bad, you guys. This house is like, it's a health issue. But he has nowhere to go. We bought him a condo, and he like turned his nose up at this condo. He's like, I couldn't go there. I'd be claustrophobic. I probably would kill myself. Like literally, I'd pull a gun out and shoot myself.
You didn't move in?
No, he didn't take it. Did not take it, man. I know. It's sad. It's a mental condition. It's really bad. But he's like, if I moved there, I'd probably kill myself. And I'm like, dude, you're dying in your house. You don't even know this, but you're dying. Like it's just bad. It's a bad situation. So typically, they don't take change real well either. That's another thing. Is they're comfortable with the mess. You've all heard the phrase, "It's better the devil you know than the devil you don't." That's really true in these situations where they're just bad. But you can still help them out.